hope you can hear me okay. I'm strolling in the woods, and you were walking with my point of view because I first need to figure out how to share this on Twitter. It's a thing I've long wanted to do, so what I'm doing right now is experimenting with this. Oh, cool. So I am live. Did you hear all that? Just a bit of a kind of experimentation here, lads. So back onto me. There you go. Hi, everybody. So, oh, there's no sound, someone's saying. Is there sound now? There should be sound. No particular reason why not. There you go. Oh shit. I'm not on airplane mode either, so if I get a call... No, wait, if I go on airplane mode, then the stream doesn't work either. If I get a call, I'll just hang it up. Yeah, so I have nothing to talk about. That's the story. I was having this is a nice hat. Someone made it or knitted this for me actually, and it was very nice of them to do. They make very nice stuff. I wish I could see the chat. Sorry lads, I am just figuring this out. Like, yeah, I like seeing the chat. Chat's reassuring because otherwise you're like, what am I up to? So yeah, nice hat. Thank you. Yeah, I was just trying to figure out the old stream there. All I'm doing really is having a walk in the woods. The only thing that's different is I've turned this on. I have no wisdom, no prepared. Here's what I was thinking about this. Mike Knight says, fierce beard on me. Thank you. It's nice, alright. I would feel weird now to shave this off again, Might just keep it for the winter. Yeah, I hope you're all well, lads. I'm trying to read out I'm gonna ignore your usernames because they're hard to read out. So, but it says Floyd. Says looks awesome there. It is actually. It's very nice. It is very nice. I mean, I've talked endless for the past few months. I've gone on and on. I must say, it's almost borderline cringe. Oh, I love nature. I love this kind of cottage. Next thing I'll be putting up like handcrafted, whatever is and all this kind of stuff. You're saying the audio is low. I wish. I mean, I could just speak up, but it fucking feels weird. How about this? Low, high. How do I turn up this audio? This is a bit of a the audio sounds like a whisper. Damn. I'm trying to figure that out now. How about if I turn this up? Maloney's Digest. Hello. Says hello. Must have just stumbled upon here, Yeah. Okay, sound is good. Okay, people say different things, So I'm just having a wonder, and I wish I had come up with some thoughts, but I do enjoy doing this. It's and we're gonna call him MD. But yeah, I should probably take notes of thoughts because I do, as you know, I wouldn't have a channel if I didn't. I think most people do. I have thoughts that come to my mind that I like to talk about sometimes, and they come and they go, and I'm not very good at documenting them. Does it really matter? Who cares? In a way, but for occasions like this, it would be nice at least to have a little list of that, oh, there's that thing I was thinking about on Tuesday, but there it's gone. Yeah, you can just kind of keep me going in the old chat there, or questions, comments, what's been on your mind, that kind of stuff. I'm just going to walk to the end of this trail, which is an epic trail. I love this. I'm back. I'm going to walk there and back, so you can basically keep me going. Someone said, it seems my thoughts are getting rarer. Oh, just general thoughts are getting rarer. Yeah. I don't know. There's something about the online sphere that um, I find strange the odd time. There's that kind of like the whole world of hot takes. Like everybody gives their hot take, and everybody's constantly just keeping up with this news cycle, like Trump versus Biden, whatever it happens to be. There sometimes is an element, not to blackpill or whatever. It's always good to keep on it, but there's an element of like it's also tiresome sometimes. And I would never want to become one of these people who depoliticizes themselves and just kind of enjoys their life, oblivious to everything else, and just says it's just too taxing and it's too like repetitive to care or to bother. So let me just lead a more kind of whatever lifestyle. I don't like that attitude, because while you do that, while you kind of hide under the bed and take the nice option, there are many other people who don't. People who oppose you. People who oppose you whether you like it or not. People who will come for you. They will come for your town. They will come for your lifestyle. They will come for your traditions. That kind of stuff. So it's like you don't really have that option. It's a strange thing, but it's the thing I think about a lot. Is that whole thing of like fighting political battles and giving unique hot takes and all that. It's like everybody's doing it, who cares, or something, or like maybe hot take fatigue, I suppose you could call it. But what are you all saying there? I have to stop to read. Here we go. Okay. Trump has no COVID, just looking for votes. I did see one thing, so to contradict myself, I am now going to talk about just news. I saw this, it was going around Twitter. It's Melania Trump was secretly recorded by her assistant or something like that, talking on the phone, and she's talking about basically asylum spoofers, which is brilliant. She's talking about these Mexicans, they cross the border, and it's they like professional liars, basically, she says, and this kind of stuff. And she's just kind of speaking honestly on the phone because she thinks she's speaking in private. And this leak is meant to be bad against her, I think released by CNN or something, whatever. And I'm listening to it going, she just went from being someone I, had no opinion on, to now thinking, oh, she's actually a legend. And I can believe it because it was a secret recording. She's actually based. She was like, oh, I love to annoy the liberal media. And it's like, she's not just saying that for the MAGA vote. She's saying that in a private phone call. She actually genuinely is like based and red-pilled, I suppose you could say. That's cool. And it just struck me that like, why would this be a leak on Melania Trump if it makes her look good? To me, it would make her look good to any MAGA voter, Trump voter. It'd make her look even better. And it would also, even the average middle person would kind of enjoy her frankness, her kind of, hearing someone's private conversation as a kind of a polished public figure. It's kind of refreshing and kind of intimate or something. So it was just strange. I was like, why is that even a leak? It's not like you caught her being a, it's not like she did or said anything wrong there. But yeah, so the Trump-Biden thing, again, hot takes on that. I don't know. It's just ridiculous. It almost feels to me like Western liberal democracy, and this is specifically America. Ireland isn't in this kind of cycle yet. We're going that direction in the same way, whatever, but specifically America as the leading edge of this kind of Western liberalism. It just feels like everybody just wants a civil war now, and everything else is just kind of, boring at this point. It's almost like that desensitization that, 20 years ago there was this pretense of dignity in politics. You respect your opponent, this kind of thing. And then Trump came along and stuff like that, and it went a bit crazier, a bit meaner. Oh, look at that glow. Oh, that's cool. I'm just going to bask in that for a while. Can you imagine if my shadow started doing things that I wasn't doing? That'd be pretty weird, wouldn't it? But don't worry, I haven't eaten any mushrooms on the way in here or anything. hard to see. But yeah, it's like people wanted that cut and thrust, and Trump came along, and now it's Trump take two, and he has to be even more bombastic in the debate. The debate has to be basically a 12-year-old kind of insult contest. These two like old men, and it's like it gets to the point where it's not interesting anymore. And people are like, I don't know. I just think everyone's kind of done with it, and people are like, this whole politics thing, it's irreconcilable. You have two vastly diverging types of people in America. You have like the white America, trad America. I like to say white America and their POC allies, because it's not all just whites. It's mostly whites. Versus this kind of like cosmopolitan, gay, anti-tradition, anti the majority of that country, anti-anything that's normal and really radical, progressive, whatever, these words. We have these two types of people, and it's just like I'd look at the debate and I just go, who cares? I mean, it's almost like everyone realizes that politics is locked into this kind of death spiral now, and the idea of having this stupid debate is just meaningless. To me, it seems that way. So that, I don't know, that's not really a structured hot take there, but it's kind of like, how long more? Like those debates are starting to feel ridiculous, like something from a bygone era. You have two sides of people who hate each other, and there isn't room for this like, oh, can't we all just get along and respect each other? That time is gone. Is in America anyway, I think. Just look at the Antifa versus this Proud Boys thing and blah blah blah. That's where people's minds are at now. They're not thinking about debates. They're thinking about street brawls and Kyle Rittenhouse killed those guys, but then those guys killed the other guy and la 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 la. I mean, that's the genesis of it's violent back and forths and stuff like that, and whatever you can say about that, that's what people are actually more interested in and more energized by than any kind of debate. I don't know. I'm not saying I like it or it's good or whatever. It is what it is. How are the lads? I can't see with that. Damn, son. Emmanuel says, we love you, Garrod. Cheers, lad. Thank you. I'm still impressed by that painting. Or not impressed, but like, don't know what to do. Don't know what to say, never thought I'd be painted by anyone. But any other blahs in the chat there? By blahs I mean that all respectfully, I'm looking like something out of Woodstock. Yeah, boy. Someone talks about microdosing mushrooms. I've never taken mushrooms. MD says they're past the point of rational dialogue in the USA and they don't want to listen to rational discourse. Yeah, I mean, rational discourse, I mean, like, take this for example, right? Something that blew me away is that, like, if you look at the Trump side, they're talking about, and I think the Trump side are objectively correct, so maybe I'm just being partisan too. But I follow a lot of this stuff online. I watch a lot of videos and everything else. So I'm reasonably well informed about the situation, the daily basis of things that happen. And as far as I can see, and I think anyone who's sane, and to use your word, rational, anyone rational looks at that and they go, for 4 or 5 months, this Antifa BLM thing has been destroying America, cities, killed people, burned down police stations, seem to get away with it. The state doesn't seem to want to crack down on that at all. Meanwhile, Charlottesville, Charlottesville, you had the car situation there. Some people say it was intentional. Some people say he reacted to like violence on the street. I can hear Irish Times just dying for a quote there or something, anything to do with Charlottesville, which is kind of my point. Charlottesville is this big, oh my God, Whereas we have these riots going on for 4 or 5 months that are like Charlottesville multiplied by 10 every day in dozens of different cities across America simultaneously. For reasons that when you look into them, the reasons aren't really strong reasons. Most of the time it's not really justified. The outrage is all manufactured. So it's this absolute insanity. And most people would say that side A, let's call them the, this is really simplistic. Let's just call them the Democrats, right? I know that's not quite accurate, but just the Democrats, that kind of left side. But I'll just call them Democrats, sorry. Most people, in a reasonable time, most people would say if those Democrat side people behave the way they behave for more than 3 days, you would expect retaliation and crackdown from the other side. Whereas in reality, it went on for months. The other side sat and just kind of posted on Twitter, this is outrageous. No reaction, no nothing, whatever. Just kind of impotent screeching on Twitter about it. And then after months and months and months and months and months, you just know something's going to happen. Something like Kyle Rittenhouse happens, and that's a whole story of its own, or whatever. Or you have minor things like this. MAGA guys get in trucks and they drive down through Portland and they punch a guy, or the tiniest thing like this. And I'm looking at this insanity, and then I check a little bit of kind of like shitlib Twitter, American Twitter, and I see that they are all telling themselves, I don't know, are they lying to themselves, lying to each other? Do they believe it? Is it just an optical thing? I don't know. They are telling each other that Trump is spinning this, is gaslighting the population, his kind of followers, into thinking that there's this problem, to set them on innocent lefties. Like, I'd need to like brush up on what their narrative is, but their narrative is totally disconnected from all reality. Like, they have completely reversed the situation. For example, I think Biden himself is using this kind of this idea that they go, oh yeah, insofar as there is violence on the streets, it's caused by white supremacist, Proud Boy, white nationalist, Trump, MAGA people, something like that. They say this is the violence, and they go, oh, we do condemn the violence, and that's all the violence. And you're going, that is either a lie, a conscious lie, or it's or worse, it's delusion. And these are two completely separate, like not worldviews, two separate notions, or two separate realities. And what are you meant to do about that? This other side, I mean, I sympathize with the MAGA people, like I do. What are you meant to, like, what are MAGA people? What is kind of that section of America? What are they meant to do with these people? Debate them? Like, how can you debate that? They're not rational. I don't know. So it's a strange old thing. Any other crack in the old chat? I would appreciate if the McCarthy plan says Garrow doesn't fully understand what's going on in general, or whatever. And I see and if anyone's like, honestly, lads, life is too short. I see people like, some people are like bitching at each other in the chat and stuff like that. Honestly, it's the internet, it's YouTube. Relax. Now I have the sun coming against me. Okay, so that's cool. But it's yeah, that's that. Other thoughts on my mind. One thing I was thinking about this week, I've had a few experiences with, like, interactions with normies in the wild, and just stuff like that. Something that's come to my mind is, in regard to like my politics and my interests, it dawned on me that people in the West, Irish people, let's say, from my point of view, have reached a stage historically where there are no institutions left. I was thinking about that. People listen to RTE, they listen to the Irish Times, they listen to what, like, they might work in a job that has like diversity and equality and whatever, COVID-19, or whatever the latest thing is, like regulations in their job and kind of streamlined policies into their workplace. And just everywhere they look, they see this kind of regime narrative, let's say, right? And it just dawned on me how hopeless it kind of is in a way when that's your situation. There is no other place people go for a different worldview, an alternate one, like a church. You know, there might have been a time when the state was saying one thing, but at the pulpit, you know, there was this different church line or whatever, and people would criticize that. But I go, at least there's another institution that's as strong as the state, as strong as the regime, that kind of competes with it, liaises with it, sometimes gets on, sometimes doesn't. But there, you know, you can go to a place where the average normie does not want to rock the boat. They don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to get in trouble. And the other thing they don't want to do is, or it's not that they don't want to, but they just don't have time to look into all this stuff. You know, you go, do you not know about Antifa? Do you not know about replacement or something? They don't have time. Normies don't have time between working and raising their family, or the energy to know this stuff. And that's just kind of the way it is. And what traditionally would be dependent on are institutions. You know, you are part of an institution that is strong, that kind of tells you what the story is. People say, that sounds very authoritarian. Look, it is what it is. They would tell you what the story is, and they'd say, you're safe to take that view. You know, like, we're going to, I don't know, think of a Muslim going to a mosque or something. You know, they have their party line in there, you know, and they don't kind of go, oh shit, I better not take the party line. They feel safe. They're like, no, I'm part of this community. It's all good. It just dawned on me that people in the West don't have an institution left. The only thing, possible exception, as far as I can see, are things like this, small as and all as it is. But like YouTube, the internet, Twitter, and you can see the regime reacts kind of strongly to that, you know, by talking about it all the time, constantly, fake news. Don't trust what you see online, you know, they're trying to get in before that. That's all there is really. And even something like QAnon, which I personally think is kind of ridiculous and a bit of a like psyop from Republicans in America basically, but personally that's just my view, I'm being honest. Even something like QAnon, as crazy as it might be, it is a different place for people to go than the telly, and a whole lot of boomers and stuff have gone there to like have a different place where they fully are subscribed to a different like narrative. But little weird things like that, and then there's the kind of like, is it the right thing online? A lot of people are into that. But these are small things. But other than that, there's nothing. There's no other place with mass numbers that people can kind of confirm each other's biases, and where there's a bit of a hierarchy to kind of structure those, let's say, talking points, and kind of say that's what we're saying. For the institution to have people not at the top, but people within that institution who do the reading and the thinking, and that's their job. They're meant to be the kind of info people, let's say, and then everybody else just listens to it because everybody else is working and too busy and stuff. Whereas at the moment we just have the one regime. I just think it's probably, I don't know, maybe rare in history that it is so singular, down to RT and all that kind of stuff. What was my point from that? I don't know really. It's just an interesting thing. But yeah, that's all we have is the internet. There is no kind of, like, I could tell you anecdotes I kind of don't want to give away, but like, I was at a thing recently where some people, some good people, like, but just, you could say normie Irish people, were talking about doing an event and maybe having to cancel the event. And having to cancel the event because the COVID-19 numbers are getting bigger, or something. And I'm so out of that loop, I didn't even know. Have they gotten higher? I don't know. And, you know, one of the comments made at this little meeting, this kind of powwow, on whether it's cancelled or not, was saying, you know, if we go ahead with it, there's a big buzzsaw there somewhere. I kind of walk away from it. But if this meeting goes ahead and someone gets COVID, as they say, then it might blow up and it might go to someone else and other people. It might be like a mini cluster type of thing. And if that happens, one of these people, good people now, but one of these people said to another, half in jest, they went, "Oh, we could end up on the news," And it was a little bit of a giggle, but it was also kind of said sincerely too. And I thought, people are, and I've experienced this with the asylum thing many times, and people genuinely are afraid of RTE and the Irish Times, which to me is laughable because, I don't know, if Michelle Malkin retweets my tweet and it gets 3,000-4,000 retweets or something like this, I don't know, I name Michelle as a random, she's a big account, or you just have a tweet that just kind of catches on, you could get millions of impressions. It's more than RTE, it's more than Irish Times. Conor Gallagher, our friend Conor, recently himself said that the, quote, far right in Ireland, that's meant to mean us, outstrip RTE in terms of reach, basically. And I'm kind of going, not to say condescend, but these people, normies, have no idea, like that, that power is, it's weird how it's locked in, they only have that one worldview to go off, that the news will come down and say this and that about us. They don't have this other community structure. This is what sparked the thought in my mind to start with. I went, these people don't have an alternative kind of institution or place to look to say, well, we could think this way, or who cares what they say because there's this other thing I'm kind of part of. There is this kind of full-on buy-in to this like media world and this institutional world of NGOs and stuff, and people perceive that and they're kind of afraid of it, and to me it's kind of needlessly, really, like it's just people don't feel secure in their church, whether that church be a literal church or some other kind of thing, a kind of a outside the state, alternative to the state kind of institution that they go to a couple of times a week, and they liaise and they have their own worldview apart from regime perspectives. I just find that interesting and kind of weird. It's probably kind of new that, so that's the thought I had about the lack of institutional support these days. Here's another thing I was thinking about. I just think this is kind of funny. It's completely unrelated to anything else, or kind of, it's more of my nationalist, blabbing. But these artisan people who make like Irish jumpers. This is kind of one of them, actually. I think this is Donegal, made of Irish sheep's wool. But or whether it's anything, name any kind of like organic, local, this whole thing. There's so much of that, and there's so much of that among kind of elite, liberally kind of people, like people who go to like culture nights, and stuff like that. People who wear roundy glasses. People who wear kind of like, people who look like they're in the Morbegs or something a little bit, but they're also kind of rich and college professors and, all these kind of people, right? A lot of these people are well into it and they'll pay top dollar for, a jumper or a scarf or a whatever, you name it, right? That is 100% Irish. It's 100% Irish, and they'll go, this jumper is not just Irish knitted, but it's Irish sheep. And they go, it's made from this I don't know, a sheep, a blah blah sheep, whatever, a certain breed of sheep that is actually indigenous. You know where I'm going with this. They'll say it's actually an Irish breed of sheep, and everything used, even the dye, we use the dye from local this and that. And I'm not the first to point this out, but when you actually stop to think about it, it's insane, the gap between that. Because if you were to say, I have this basket weaving factory and we use Irish reeds or whatever they make baskets with. I have this small factory and it's got, 6 or 7 staff in it, and it's all local. All the reeds are from the lake down the road and from the mountains over here, and this animal that was used is totally Irish and all this. And then if you were to say, just on top of it, and all the labour is Irish as well, all the staff are Irish, We only, you know, they go, we only use Irish fleeces in these jumpers. Irish sheep, Irish fleeces from like native Irish sheep, and all this kind of stuff. And yet, if you were to say, yeah, our staff here are all Irish. We only use Irish staff. You know, indigenous Irish staff. Because labour matters, doesn't it? Obviously, right? If what nationality the sheep is matters, then clearly the labour obviously would matter too, logically. And yet, you couldn't say that. You would get in trouble, obviously, with media and everything else for saying it. But as far as I know, and I'm open to correction on this, I think if you said that, you would be breaking the law, as far as I know. There are various EU laws and, you know, equality laws and stuff like that that actually make that prohibitive. Now, in theory, you could hire all Irish staff and just, you know, not say it out loud. But if you were to just come out, same way you're talking about the sheep and the reeds you're using are Irish, it's like, well, if I can talk about them, I don't, like, it's not discrimination to say I'm using these reeds, then why can't I just openly, proudly advertise the product as this is 100% Irish in all ways, including the labour, all the staff are Irish, all this kind of stuff. That becomes illegal. Is that not a mind-boggling thought of its own? I think it is. So there's a hot take for you. I can't. I would love to get one of these Swipple people, these kind of people who buy these products and wear it on their sleeve, so to speak, like, oh, only Irish bread, and only, the butter is from down the road, and the jam is made in Kill fucking bollocks or whatever, right? A person who like loves all that stuff, right, but is kind of liberal and stuff. If you were to, I'd love to say all this to someone like that. I might get a chance at some point. Say all this to someone like that and go honestly to God. Don't get triggered or like, I'm not trying to insult you. I'm not trying to own you. I'm not trying to whatever. But from the bottom of my heart, I'm asking you, how does that get reconciled? Like give me like a reasonable like answer to why one matters and the other doesn't. Strange to me. So anyway, religions, war, racism. Oh, dearie me, I don't agree with that personally now. Religions, war, racism, etc., are all ways to divide us and keep us occupied with pettiness while they are stealing our children's future. I mean, there's elements of that I agree with, I suppose. Thumb on camera there. We got 100 people in the house. I'm famous, lads. Famous in the woods. It's good to be an e-celeb, you know. Feels good, man. I'm only messing, obviously. I think you could probably get 100 people for scratching your arse. I mean, there's people who probably get. Let's not get into it. I'm just looking at the chat, checking y'all's out. But yeah, that staff thing just blows my mind. That you couldn't just say, yeah, we use 100% Irish staff. Like, you can talk about the sheep, but not the humans. Like, like, it's not so much, because you could argue it either way. My point is to say, like, if you say that the Irish staff doesn't matter and that's bad or you shouldn't do that or whatever, I would argue it in reverse with the Liberals to say, okay, I'll accept that premise alongside you. We're both agreeing on that. My question now is, who cares about the sheep? Like, you're still talking about the sheep. Like, I'll agree with you on the humans thing, but what's going on with the sheep thing? Like, as in, what's the value that you put on the sheep or the reeds or the wood or something? Like, tell me what value that is that matters, that doesn't apply to human beings, and why. I would love to know. I'm gonna go back to my car now and, you know, drive on home, but it's a while away, so I'm just gonna keep this on, even if it'd be kind of cool. It'd be kind of a legend move if I you know, stuck for something to say, just kind of went quiet and just walked on. If I had the confidence to do that, just kind of that kind of thing. If I did that for a sustained 10 minutes or 5 to 10 minutes. Gar has a car. GT says, yes, I do. Yes, I do. It's good to have a car. It's I do. I've driven my car to absolute death as well. Like, I don't have a new car or a expensive car, far from it, but I've driven it to death and I absolutely love it. It's been everywhere. It's been everywhere except for Wexford, I'd say. And it's been to some mad stuff. I drove from Lisdoonvarna to Dublin through that big snow, the beast from the east. It's probably one of the most reckless and idiotic things I've ever done, I'd say. So I'll tell this story. There was actually a lady who I met at a demo recently, the one outside the Dáil with Chopper speaking. She came up to me and said she liked the channel and all that. If you're watching now, howdy. But she was saying, I love your stories. The Freemason story I told in the past. It's kind of a funny story. Like, she was saying, oh, you should tell more funny stories. But I don't know, is this funny? This isn't really funny, but it's still just it's like a personal, normal, non-political story. I drove from I was in Lisdoonvarna recording that whole night when they took the vote and all that kind of stuff. And I got that video up online and stuff. But it was that night that the beast from the east was coming in. And I had heard about it, but I was like, it's probably just one of those things. You know, it's category 4 or whatever it is, status red or yellow or whatever. And usually it's kind of almost the butt of a joke because people go, it's funny, like, you know, we announce a little bit of snow, a little bit of rain, a little bit of wind, and we're acting like it's a tornado season or whatever. So I was like, it's probably one of those. I haven't really looked into it. How wrong I was, obviously. At this time it was a real deal thing. Like, so I just decided I was meant to be driving up to at the time my girlfriend was living in Dublin and I wasn't, so we were kind of doing slightly long distance, and I was like, oh, I'll come up to see you after I go to Lisdoonvarna. So I was kind of committed to it and I said I would, you know. And I'm thinking the weather isn't that bad anyway, it's probably a storm in a teacup, so I'll just go for it. And I drove on from Lisdoonvarna. Sorry if this is boring you lads, but you know, I've got nothing else. But yeah, I've got from Lisdoonvarna nice and slowly to Limerick, and then got on to Limerick, and I'm like, well, I'm grand now. I've gotten rid of the windy country roads. I'm now on the motorway. I'm sorted. I'm free. But the actual blizzard hadn't happened yet, and as I drove out of Limerick, I get about 20 minutes away, and the blizzard hits straight into my windshield. Scary. I couldn't see a thing. I couldn't see a tap, and I was like, okay, I'll just kind of keep driving slowly. And then I'm in the middle of a motorway, basically, as in I'm in the, you know, Ballybollocks, basically. I'm in nowhere. I'm not in Limerick, I'm not in Dublin. I'm just like in some random part of a motorway. And so there's nothing I can do. I can't turn around, I can't go back, I can only go forward. So it gets so bad that, I don't know if you've never driven in a blizzard before, it's something else. It's like you just can't see anything. It's like a graphic in your windshield, but you can't see whatever's on the other side of it. So I ended up having to, the only way I could drive was to drive right up to the railing on the side of the motorway, open the window, crane my head out the window, and I had to get within about 12 inches of the railing to be able to see it. And that was my guide for the road, where the road was going. So I was going at about, I don't know, 15 kilometers an hour or something, really slow. And then eventually, in like a religious moment almost, you know, I came across it. There was a massive truck that was on the road, and it had big massive lights on the back of it, and that kind of appeared in front of me, and then that kind of guided me most of the way to Dublin. But yeah, there were points where I was like, I'm going to have to pull over here because I can't keep driving. I'm going to start getting cold because the car will cool down if it's not being driven, and I'm going to have to call the. I'm just kind of thinking, calling the garage is one thing, but like I'm going to have to call the army, and they're going to come, or I don't know what'll happen. Maybe a fleet of tractors or something. I'm going to have to call someone, and they're going to be like, "What the fuck were you doing, like, you idiot?" And be like, "Sorry about it." You know, so that was funny. But I made it. I chased that truck, and I had to stay within a certain range of him because his lights would fade, and I would have to keep up with him. And the wheels were spinning in the snow. It was crazy. It took me about 6 hours to get from Lisdoonvarna to Dublin under those conditions. Then I got into Dublin. Dublin was like knee deep in snow, or worse, more. Wheels are spinning around. I'm like drifting around Dublin basically, and I eventually get to where I'm going. But that was quite a surreal experience. But that was one of my experiences in Penny. It's the name of my car. There's a logic behind that name, but I won't get into it. Yeah, so that was that, and there's many other stories. I've just been absolutely all over the gap in that car. So I actually do fear when it like totally breaks down and I can't use it anymore. I can get quite sentimental. People are saying I need a dog, or I should get a dog. I don't know, is it need, or would like a red setter would be nice. Yeah, I do like dogs. Do you like dogs? What else? Sinead Coffee says, "You look like you've gone full-blown LA hipster." What if I take this off? A bit more normal now, yeah? My hair's all matted down to my head. There you go. So yeah. So I've de-hipstered myself a little bit. Yeah. Some comments there making me laugh, lads. Yeah, any other crack? I don't know. Someone brought up the car and I got some cool car stories done there. Yeah. Any other crack? Now I have a hair issue. Not that I'm narcissistic or anything, but it feels weird, you know. Lads, that hat has to go back on, I'd say. I've got creep hair, like, I'll be honest with you. It's not looking good. But oh man, I just have to look back at myself knowing I'm on the internet. There's not much I can do about it really, because my hands are full, holding the phone and all that. Any other crack, lads? Oh, Kelly's in the chat. You know what? I'm very fond of Kelly. But if, you know, I didn't, not to be like, you know, not to get emotional about it or anything, but I got to know Kelly like recently enough, last few months. But it's always nice to have a new like core person on the scene who's a legend, because you can have anyone who's like a bit of a bumbling weirdo, but when you get someone who's normal, and not just normal, but like above normal, better than normal, you know, and from the same place I'm from and all that, it's kind of class. So big ups to Kelly. I don't know if Kelly has a channel on YouTube or a Twitter. I think I'm flattering myself to say, hey Kelly, link below, because you'd probably get like 3 followers from it. I'm not exactly your big break, like, but yeah, follow Kelly if you don't, lads, and all the rest of the lads. Chopper, Mick Chopper O'Keefe, and others. I'm slightly out of the loop, but there's actually, speaking of Kelly, you can remind me in the chat, what's the name of the protest on the 10th? You throw in the details there, but I'll be there, you know. But Let Ireland Live. Yeah, that's the one. So that's going to be good. Sure, more treats in store for us from some, I don't know, Antifas showing up or something. One thing I would say about that is, like, I do think restraint is in order with that stuff. Best to ignore them for the most part. If they're coming at you, they're coming at you, you know. But otherwise, just try to ignore. I mean, they're there to get something, you know. That's the whole point. It's a strange world where we have to live with those people, or this kind of scene. Like, I found it funny the last time with Izzy, like, got in an accident there, the last one. You know, there was it was all over the Irish newspapers, and like a few months previously, there was a guy, I took the video myself, there was a guy in plain view on my video, grabbing a tripod and slapping it off the side of a guard's head, And actually, when I look back on the video, he actually hit 2 guards, which from a, you know, kind of manual perspective is kind of impressive, I suppose. But yeah, it slapped a guard on the head with a tripod. Nothing, not a word about that. Like, so it's, you know, the usual, lads. Any other crack? I'm seeing the fake blood comments going in the chat. My thing, I just don't care either way, you know. It just kind of is what it is. Like, it is what it is. Jamie Carroll says Trump is up to something. Oh yeah, Trump has the COVID now. I wonder what the, no offense if you're a believer yourself, but I wonder what the, what's it called, QAnon people will be saying about this. Their own guy has self-announced that he has it. I just wonder how that's reconciled. He's meant to be, I don't know. I don't even know what all that stuff's about, to be honest. But so I'm getting towards the end of my stroll-og. Do you know what I think I'm going to do tonight? I'll tell you now, lads. I look behind me. I just think it's a funny thing to do. I want to watch The Lives of Others, because I've never seen that. It's a film about East Germany, surveillance state kind of stuff. It's meant to be a good film. I've never seen it, or if I have, I was kind of like not paying attention. So I want to properly watch that tonight. I don't know. Feel free to watch it yourself. If enough of you watch it yourself, I could do like a little conversation on it tomorrow. I could come back out here and just walk back and forth and talk shite about it for a while. I don't know if you're into that kind of thing. Do let me know. Smash like if you are. And do subscribe, lads. Honestly, like, it's not even that. It's like, if you're not already, just do. It's there. Boom. And it is, maybe, is it dopamine? I don't know, is it just meaningless dopamine? But like, it's kind of an indicator. It's nice, you know. What else? What else? Checking the chat. Must look very strange here. Kind of screwing my eyes up to look at this. John B says it's a great film. Okay. So as great films go, it's great. It's a great film. Jigsy's Workshop says Biden is a nonce. I don't know if he's a nonce. I can't clarify that. I can't confirm. But I have seen him sniffing little girls, so it's kind of weird. I don't know. It's pretty weird, like, and sniffing people's wives as well. I just think it's not cool, like, to sniff someone's wife. It's probably a thing you shouldn't do. So someone let Biden know. But Biden to me looks like he's starting to look like his face and his head is so reduced and kind of weird and old and messed up or whatever, like dosed up on steroids or something just to be alive. He's in such a weird frame like that he's starting to look to me like so lifeless that it's almost like a drawing you could do. Like if you have a pen and paper in front of you, you just draw an oval for the head and then you just draw 2 dots, just 2 precise dots for eyes, and it's like there's about that much going on in his face from what I can see. It's very strange. It's just bizarre actually that he's even doing that. Like if I was what is he, like 70 something, and he's like lunatic, or not lunatic, sorry, he's getting dementia and stuff like that. He's losing his marbles basically, but it's just a weird thing. Like if I were that age, like I wouldn't even run for US president now if I were American. So I'd be like, nah, nah, I think I'll just sit down instead. But definitely if I was in my 70s and losing it and tired and all that kind of stuff, I'd be like, no, you're fine. Like, it's a strange motivation. The other thing about the Democrats too is, like, they could have gotten pick a random registered Democrat in America who is a 50-year-old man or woman. They have to have an IQ above 110, and they have to not be a psychopath or like unstable, mentally unstable. They have to like be reasonably intelligent, not mentally unstable, not atrociously ugly. That's probably, no offense like to anyone, or whatever. We're all a bit ugly, but like, better for the optics. And just basically pick a randomer Democrat and put them up as president or candidate. Like, that would look much, much better, wouldn't it? Than Biden. Anyway. Keep me going there, lads, because I'm actually not at my car yet. And yet I'm perfectly free to end the stream now, but I don't want to. This is actually keeping me company. Oh, Sinead O'Connor. Yeah, Sinead O'Connor. Lads. You know, it's a pity because I don't want to say I'm not wishing death upon Sinead O'Connor, even though she, I think, wished it on Trump today. But, like, in an alternative world, like, if you think of two big figures in the Irish music scene in the 90s, or the global music scene, you would have Sinead O'Connor and then Dolores O'Riordan from the Cranberries. These two female kind of Irish singers. It's such a pity because I personally maintain that Dolores O'Riordan looks class. She looks like a sound, interesting person, or she did when she was alive. And she also was pro-life. You know, she had based inclinations. I'd say, were she still around, she would have. You know, we could have reached out to her, and I think she could have become part of our based movement. Which is such a pity. Imagine, like, you know, I honestly would have loved if she had gotten to be part of the based movement. And if that had happened, of course, at some point I may or may not have ended up having lunch with her or having a drink with her or whatever. It'd be so interesting, for one, just to hear her stories and all that, like a famous person. And she's a great musician. I love her music. I love her voice. Her voice is, whatever timbre she has is unique and class. She would have been such a class ally. And yet she's gone. But Sinead O'Connor is here. So I'm not trying to say a swapperoo or whatever would have been better, because I'm not, you know, macabre like that or ghoulish. But just, we're left with Sinead instead. So that's the hand you get, you know. And she's just such a, like, brainless NPC, basically. She even kind of looks like the NPC, or she did when she had her shaved head. She wants Trump to die. She ripped up a picture of the Pope. I don't know. It's just, imagine being that dumb. That's all I think when I think of her. Someone says there, Sinead loves attention. Obviously, yes. But imagine being that stupid. It's not even like, I don't mean that in an insulting way. I just mean it in a empathetic way, like in a way of, like, I would feel bad inside if I were that dumb. I would feel like maybe bored or something, or kind of just kind of lackluster to be that stupid. It must be so confusing. It's like being a, you know, a mouse on a hamster wheel or something, you know. It's like, if you think, imagine being a mouse on a hamster wheel. Imagine how just disheartening that is as a thought. That's how I feel about Sinead. It's like, I feel bad. It feels bad, man. But yeah, I don't know. If anyone wants to get Sinead on a stream with me, if anyone has contact, that's another thing. It's so boring as well. Like, I really want some liberal or some progressive or some replacist, as you could say, or some diversity hawk or some, you know, you name it. I really want one of them to come on YouTube with me, on my channel or theirs, whatever, neutral, and do a debate discussion type thing. I would love the I get excited by a kind of spar in that way. I much prefer it to like, I'd probably prefer it even to, like, just talking my spiel or doing videos myself. I enjoy the, I'm going to use a big word I don't fully understand, the dialectical process, but it's not even dialectical. I just enjoy the spar of it, and I kind of get excited and get a buzz off it, because you've someone coming back at you and you're trying to, like, and it involves not just facts. Facts are the least of the matter there. It's like narrative and kind of vibe and all that kind of stuff, and it's such a fun thing to do. And yet, I mean, I haven't tried that hard, but, like, anytime I have tried, it's just a dead end. People just don't want to do it. It's sad. It's not sad. It's just like, whatever. You kind of, I don't know. Yeah, it just puts you into, like, puts people into their silos or whatever. But I would just like to do it for the fun of it, not even for, like, meta-political, you know, gains for our side or whatever. I just actually enjoy it. And yet it's, like, never going to happen. So if you know anyone, Sinead O'Connor perhaps, or anyone else, any random like account, any random egg account with 1 subscriber, anyone from there to Sinead O'Connor to David McWilliams, come at me. Because the funny thing is, they're always talking about, I won't say me because it isn't, but like us, so to speak, this big kind of thing. Like they seem to do nothing but talk and talk and talk about us. So that'd be nice if they would actually just have a conversation. That'd be cool, bruh. Bleeding Holograms says he's missed the entire stream. Don't worry about it, bruh. It'll be, you can reverse. Go into reverse or rewind in a while and watch it. I mean, it's just like if you can ring me in a while and we can chat. It'll be the same thing. Probably better. But Bleeding Holograms did a video with me. We did like a podcast basically. And it's very good. So if you go to YouTube, Bleeding Holograms, when I say it's very good, yeah, you know, I think it was. We just kind of had a chat, and it was nice. We talked about all sorts of stuff, euthanasia, this, that, and the other, and also Bleeding Holograms' particularly first video. No, I think it's the second video on his channel. It's about boozing. I think it's alcoholism versus creativity. I think it's called, but it's about like the booze lifestyle, and just kind of addiction almost versus like being grounded and comfortable, and it sets your kind of creativity and your natural essence free. I don't know if I'm summing it up right there. That's how I feel about it. He's got a very good anecdote about being in Dublin and having this kind of almost, this kind of tripping out Travis Bickle type experience of like seeing drunken Dublin degeneracy on like a Saturday night for what it is, for the weird ghoulish experience that it is. And it's a very good video, so I would check out that channel and do subscribe as well, because I know Bleeding Holograms is in early stages, has just started this channel. So like when you get those subs, it's really like rewarding for whatever it's worth. It just is rewarding. You're like, I'm doing something right. He deserves your sub. So what else have we got going on here? Yeah. Anything else in my my life at the moment? I tried listening to Wagner, and I couldn't. It's not that I think it's bad. I know it's obviously good, and at some point I'll get it. I've only recently started to like Beethoven and Vivaldi and stuff like that, and actually like them. It's not pretentious. I enjoy listening to it, and I feel like Wagner might. Maybe I just need like another 10 years or something like that to get it. Because it's just like, I'm like, in what context besides entering battle am I meant to listen to this in an appropriate way? You know, when do you listen to this? When is this appropriate to listen to? When does this make sense? When is this like, oh, I'm, you know, chopping some vegetables, doing the thing, listening? It just doesn't sit right with me. So I don't understand it yet, obviously. So that's my story. That's the music thing. I think that's about it, lads, to be honest with you. I'll just get the last chats there. Oh, Keith Wood says I need the Faustian spirit. Yeah, true. I'm working on it, but for now I just think a bit of Vivaldi, Four Seasons. I've just been doing that over and over again. But I think you could listen to that for months or years and still be like getting something new out of it. I enjoy the summer, obviously the big rock star. It's like the guitar solo in a rock song moment, I think, is Summer in Four Seasons and Presto. So Summer's broken into 3 parts. Presto, it's like this mad, you know, crazy bit. And then Winter is kind of nice as well. But the whole thing is nice. If you look it up, look it up on YouTube. Alexandra, I think it's Alexandra Kononova. Look for Alexandra Kononova. It's the best one on YouTube. Very nicely done. Put it on and enjoy that. It's really good, like, and it's easy to get into. It's easily enjoyable, unlike, from my perspective right now, Wagner. So, boys and girls, I'll leave it there basically, and somehow try to end this. Take it easy. I'll be back soon. Have a good weekend, yeah. See ya.